It is 14 minutes to 6 o'clock. You are listening to the News Hour this Tuesday with me, Adam Powell, here on BBC Radio Cumbria. Coming up, do you like malt whisky? If you do, would you pay £280 for a nip, or nearly £8,000 a bottle? That's what happened to the first bottle of Lake's malt at auction today. But first, here are the headlines. Now, do you like malt whisky? You do? So how much would you be prepared to pay for a bottle? Probably not £7,900, but that's how much someone paid for a bottle of Lake's Genesis, the first malt produced in the Lake District for 100 years. Well, that works out, we've been getting the calculators out here, £280 per nip, which is quite a bit of money. Joining me now is Paul Currie, founder of the Lakes Distillery. Paul, what did today mean for the Lakes Distillery then, this auction?
Well, no, it's been a fantastic day. I mean, the 7,900 you mentioned is actually a world record for the first release from a new distillery anywhere in the world. So we've really achieved something very special. I mean, the bottle was on offer. We've called Lake's Malt Genesis, Genesis meaning origin, beginning, and this is the first bottle available to the general public produced at our distillery.
So what can you tell me about the person that paid £7,900 for that bottle of Lake's Genesis then?
Well, it's all incognito, so we don't know who's actually paid for it. I mean, we had a lot of interest from around the world, which is very exciting, and I guess is a demonstration of how our brand is beginning to get better known around the world. But I'm sure he's got a good deal. You know, this is the first bottle. It's like having the first bottle of what we hope will become one of the leading malts of the world. So, you know, hopefully 10, 20 years' time, he or she will look back and think this is a good buy.
What do you think will happen to that first bottle? You said you think it'll be sort of left resolutely closed for at least 20 years. You don't think it'll get drunk then?
Well, you never know. Maybe somebody wants to celebrate in the next year or so. It's entirely up to them.
Or maybe someday.
I'd expect it would have been a collector who'd at least keep it for some time.
So for anyone who hasn't tasted Lake's Genesis, describe its flavour, can you?
Well, we have a technique from our whiskey maker, Davil Gandhi, which we call multi-oak, multi-sherry, and this is whereby we use different types of oak cask to mature and different types of sherry, which give a very special character to the whiskey. So this is a big price of $7,900, but this really is an amazing whiskey in the bottle. It's been handcrafted by Davil. There are only a total of 101 bottles worldwide produced, so it is something very limited and very special.
So what happens to malt whisky production at Lake's Distillery after this first sale of the first 101 bottles? What happens now?
Well, you know, we're producing a lot of whiskey. I mean, our ambitions are to sell 300,000, 500,000, and rising up to 1 million bottles over the coming years. But this is fantastic as our number one bottle to go for such a price. I mean, I can assure listeners that not every bottle is going to be this price, but we'll certainly be at the premium end of the market.
And in terms of having a distillery in Cumbria, the first production malt in more than 100 years, what do you think it means to the county?
Well, I think it's fantastic. I mean, this isn't a traditional whiskey-making place, but the world is beginning to recognize the Lakes Distillery as a leading distiller in the world, and I think we can really help to get Cumbria on the map. You know, most of our sales are going to be export. We're doing pretty well in the UK already, but we'll be selling as far afield as Japan, the US, and other countries in Europe. So I think we can really help to put the region on the map.
Paul, thanks for joining us on the News Hour. That's Paul Currie, founder of the Lakes Distillery, and the news that the first bottle of malt produced by the Lakes Distillery was bought at auction for £7,900.